For much more on today's emergency NATO meeting, as well as the Iranian nuclear deal, we're joined by former NATO Supreme Allied Commander, Dean of the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy at Tufts, Admiral James Stavridis. Jim, good to have you with us. Let's turn first to this meeting in the NATO, calling upon NATO to support Turkey. What does that mean? Is that bad news for both the Islamic State and the Kurds? What in the world is the result?
I think it's bad news, Lou, for the Islamic State. Frankly, Turkey has woken up to the fact that along its 500-mile border, it has a clear and present danger, a serious threat from the Islamic State. I'm very hopeful we can all, NATO, the United States, encourage the Turks to focus on job one, which is clearly the Islamic State.
Are we in any position, Jim, excuse me, to encourage anybody to do anything? This administration said it would degrade and destroy the Islamic State. It has withdrawn. It has not moved forward with attacks against the Islamic State.
I think we are in a position in this particular case because of the extreme threat of the Islamic State, Lou. So what NATO needs to do is team with Turkey and mount an air campaign, as well as encourage the Turks to put boots on the ground across the border, creating a buffer zone, a no-fly zone. That's the beginning of the end for the Islamic State. And I think
what does it mean for the Kurds?
Them in that direction.
What does it mean for the Kurds,
well,
then? If they have boots on the ground, that makes them the Turks a clear and present danger to the Kurds, who have been the most effective fighters against the Islamic State, right?
Yeah, Lou, you're putting your finger on the complexity here. What we have to do is move Turkey back to where they were only 3 months ago, which is at the negotiating table with the Turkish minority. 18% of Turkey is Kurdish. Over the long throw, Turkey is going to make a deal with the PKK and the Kurds. We need to encourage that. Again, focusing the Turks on job one, which is clearly the Islamic State.
We've had an administration, again, who said that that's job one, destroying the Islamic State, and has, in point of fact, reduced, not raised the number of sorties and attacks against the Islamic State, its positions, and in fact, we have a subsidiary role in any offense to reclaim territory captured by the Islamic State.
Lou, I agree. We have not done what we need to do against the Islamic State, and it's not just the air campaign. Today, we only have about 3,000 U.S. advisors in country. We don't need 150,000, but we certainly need about 10,000 more to get this thing moving in the right direction. It's going to require more focus out of the administration, much more than we've seen thus far.
Jim, I've got to get your views and your judgment on the revelations today that the United States will not be permitted inspectors in Iran, that in fact the IAEA would permit the Iranians to carry out their own inspections and, if you will, self-report an honor system with Middle East nuclear power in the balance. Is there any chance in the world that this agreement will, in fact, go into effect?
Unfortunately, first of all, it is a very bad agreement because of the verification regime. But also, Lou, what I'm really concerned about is dropping 100 to 150 billion into the Iranian economy, which is only 325 billion. This would be like the United States getting a $4 trillion capital injection. This is very bad for the general state of affairs. Will the agreement go through? I think the Congress is going to vote it down. The question is going to be, and you might ask Senator DeMint, whether or not the Congress can sustain over a presidential veto, which is clearly coming.
Well, that's one of the questions that we will put in the hopper, and a good one it is, Jim. Thank you very much for being here. Good to see you. We appreciate your views.
Always a pleasure, Lou. Thank you.
Admiral James Stavridis.